Hi everyone, I'm Deshri Baker. My traditional name is Gironka, East Giant Raven. And my platform is based on development and finances, which I think go hand in hand because most, if not all, the money comes from land development. Second is education. The only way to grow in this community and to live in this society is to have a good foundation, have an education, and be able to thrive in the consumer world that we are living in today. Third and fourth is make sure that our youth in Ontsmanman has the funding so that we have the tools as babies and as children to grow in this society, and we know how to learn and develop our mind. And the last is community operations. And I hope that everyone can see that if we, as a people, respect our land, we will teach our youth the exact same thing that we've been taught from our grandfathers and our elders. What's up?
Thank you very much, Destry. Okay, so your question tonight for you this evening is coming down through the sports and cultural category. And your question for you this evening is, how much or what percentage of our budget should be spent on language and culture?
Great question. Language and culture. Without our language or our culture, we are not Squamish Nation. That is what we have, and that separates us from the other world outside there. And without that, I believe we would just be simulated into this world that we live in. So I would go with at least a quarter of our funding to go language and culture, because without programs like canoeing or fishing or camp to learn about our heritage and our land, we would forget all about this, because the world we live in is so fast that it's all computers and all technology that we forget that we live in the most beautiful land in the world. And this is our culture, and we have to show everybody what we're about and keep it preserved and make sure nothing happens like an oil spill or anything like that. What's the other?
Thank you very much, Destry. Good stuff. Okay, so our next number is 0876 651. Okay, Thompson from Sasing.
Good evening, elders. My name is Katakshin. Some call me Chief No Seal sometimes. Elders, especially to the candidates, we have a lot of good, very young people coming up. I myself, I've been around for a while. I was honored to serve with Pacebuck for 20 years, Chief of Council from 1967 to 1987. And I raised my hands to the past councillors also, the late Chuck Conham, Chief Joe Mathias, Bino, Norman Joseph, Dan Baker, Simon Baker, Tim Moody, Sam Baker, Chuck Billy. All these past leaders are your grandfathers, and they set the foundation for where we are at today. And I'm very, sorry. But anyway, I've also been band manager for quite a while. I've been a few years, this is 24, 26 years, and more likely to my last running. Okay.
Yuan Ha. So your question tonight for you is coming down through community services category, which you have chosen. So tonight, your question is, today's youth is very distant and uninterested. How do you connect to the 18 to 30-year-olds? How would you support or implement a youth council?
good question. In recognizing that our population is young, according to our land registry, under 35 down to 0 represents 65%. How do we engage our youth? I believe that I believe that we start with both our leaders, but more for our families. I think we should set up the youth council starting at the young age of youth center, like 10, 12, 13, 14, our youth center. And to do that, we as leaders have to develop inclusiveness of mentoring and training our young ones, both in the culture, longhouse, and particularly in our nursery schools. We're now beginning to teach the language, the history. Roy Baker and the other teachers are giving that Indian identity, that Indianness of Squamishness, of the Squamish identity. The other is, I believe that comes from the family and the grandparents, that they should instill the pride and the language and the culture and the values. And with that, they get the identity, they get self-respect, and self-respect gives you, I just believe that families should be the ones responsible to do that.
Yuan Ha, Say, Oxford. Okay, so our next number is 0876617.
Siam and CIA, Bakalpan Siam, Quinn Shaman Sna, Archbalted Steve, Hassan Swan, Chapatin, Zito. Bakalpan Siam is my ancestral name given to me by my father, Chief Ernie Harry. The English name is Chief Dale Harry. It's a pleasure to be here today. You know, when I first ran back in 2001, I ran as a voice for the people. Second term, Community Visions in Action. Third term was Prosperity Through Partnership. And this time around, I'm running saying that strong leadership is people helping people. I really believe in that. You know, I was looking at what we have here today. You know, we have so much revenue that we always need to build up our programs and services, and we need to focus on the business.
Oh, thank you very much. So your question tonight is coming down through the housing category, and your question tonight for you is, will you support mortgages on reserve?
Ooh, that's, I got 10 minutes for this one, she says. You know, I'm on the Aboriginal Housing Management Association. I've just been elected back in September as the president. And what the Aboriginal Housing Management Association looks at 40,000 societies across British Columbia. We have two board members here from Vancouver Native Housing. That's Randy Lewis and Christine Baker. You know, and you know what? One of the things is that we got to look at having those housing issues. We can turn them into housing opportunities. You know, we need to sit down as a membership. We need to come up and look at a housing plan and what we need to do in the future. You know, I've always seen at the general meetings, a lot of people that attend the general meetings are the ones that already has houses. We need to focus on the young people. We need to focus on the young people to make a difference for tomorrow. Maybe it's out forward-looking thinking, because I tell you, if you're 1,000 on the list and you're paying rent $1,500, $1,600 a month, that becomes a problem. And we can provide affordable housing on our reserve and also create partnerships off reserve, because 60% of our people live off reserve. So we just want to make sure that we create opportunities for everybody, not just for people on our reserve. Us, yeah.
Thank you very much. So our next number is 0876632.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Wilson Williams. Good evening, elders and Squamish family. My parents are Barry and Elaine Williams, grandparents Percy and Sally Paul, and Pearl Williams. I am a proud employee of the Squamish Nation right here in the beautiful home of Chief Joe Mathias Center. I'm running my campaign around Believe. I believe in strengthening our community. In order to move forward, it starts internally. I believe in community development. I believe in strengthening relationships with our community, relationship admin, the departments. I believe in action. I believe in moving technology into this generation with the power of communication. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wilson. And your question tonight is descending down to the sports and cultural category. Now your question for you this evening is, if you build a cultural or sportsplex, how would you make that happen?
Good question. Yes. I think it's a great combo, just like the building here, sports and culture. I'm a big believer in our territories that surround this building. I believe in outreach into partners, potential partners, the surrounding communities. I think directly it has to start with our community at large, working with each and everyone and building that communication. I'm big on visual communication. I believe in technology. I believe in direct engagement with the people. People need to be heard, and I think it can be done efficiently with this time and day. And I believe culture and sport is the big picture for health and wellness in our community. Just this past weekend, we had a basketball tournament. That's just a small portion of what we can do by bringing people in our community, thriving our economy, and working together to put on a great event. We had over 25 volunteers over the weekend, a lot of youth coming in to get experience and skills and just feeling a part of the community. I'm huge on community development, and I'm huge in sports, and especially our culture, and bringing that history forward with this generation now, right down to our youth and little babies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wilson. We want you to